Former president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwunmi Adesina, has been honored with an African Lifetime Achievement Award for his decades-long contributions to agricultural innovation, economic transformation, and sustainable development across Africa. Dr. Adesina received the award alongside his wife, Mrs. Grace Adesina. In his speech, he stressed that his motivation on the continent has never been for the applause.
Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, my dearest brother and friend, and you must also know that when I was actually campaigning to be president of the African Development Bank, he was the first president outside of Nigeria to support my nomination for that job. Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency Ian Khama, former president of Botswana from 2008 to 2018, and you also have some part of you in Nigeria, and you told me you live in Ikeja, and they used to call you Oyibo, so I will still call you President Oyibo today. Moses Siasia, founder and chairman of Africa Heritage Awards, past and present recipients of the African Heritage Awards, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, my beloved, beautiful, elegant, and precious wife, Grace. Good evening. It is such a profound honor to stand at this moment, not only to humbly receive a recognition, but I've been asked to also spend some time to reflect on the continent in motion. So I'll do that. Let me begin by thanking the African Heritage Awards for what you truly represent. The recognition of African excellence, African dignity, and African possibility. Because when Africa is recognized, Africa is not only celebrated, it is elevated. Your Excellency, President Mahama, I thank you sincerely for your leadership and gracious hospitality. You represent a form of leadership that understands a simple truth, that nations ascend when leaders inspire confidence in possibility. Please give it up to this president. And under your bold, purposeful, and transformative leadership, Ghana continues to stand as a beacon of stability, of pride, and Pan-African purpose. And you are at the United Nations. We couldn't have stood prouder behind you. You made us so proud, Mr. President. Please give it up to him. It is fitting, therefore, that we gather here in Ghana, the land of Kwame Nkrumah, where the dream of African unity was never a memory, but a mission. From this land, right here out of Ghana, Africa has always moved forward. And I must say to you all, friends, today, that Africa is ascending. I congratulate all the African Heritage Award recipients. Well done. Tonight, you are not just being honored, you are being recognized as evidence that Africa is already producing its own future. Congratulations again. I'm deeply humbled to receive this African Lifetime Achievement Award. I am grateful to the African Heritage Awards. Thank you, Moses. Thank you very, very much. But I must say this with clarity. I do not serve Africa for applause. I serve Africa as a mission. Serving Africa is a lifetime calling. Even though I stepped down, my time finished at African Development Bank, that passion continues. It's a calling and it continues. Because I remain absolutely optimistic about Africa's future, not out of sentiment, but out of evidence. The International Monetary Fund projects that Africa will record approximately 4.2% real GDP growth in 2026, making it the fastest growing region in the world. More importantly, This is not an isolated event. This is not an isolated moment. This is not a blip. This is part of a sustained trajectory where Africa is expected to remain among the fastest growing regions globally for the first time ever for the next 4 consecutive years. This is therefore not a cyclical recovery. It is a structural re-evaluation. Africa is not just growing. Africa is compounding, and the world is recognizing that. We already see this shift in what we call the African champions. Mr. President, today, Dangote Group has the largest petroleum refinery in the world and has stepped up to secure Africa's capacity to meet its own fuel needs in the midst of the global supply shocks. The MTN Group has become globally recognized asset from Africa. The Safaricom Group has the world's largest mobile phone payment system. The Jumia Group has become the first fintech company out of Africa to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. These are not exceptions. They are signals of scale, of resilience, and of readiness. Africa is no longer a promise. Africa is not potential. Africa is an investable reality. Africa is inevitable. Africa holds today 30% of the world's known critical mineral reserves, resources essential for the world's energy transition. Yet it receives only 5% of global investment flows into those sectors. That gap is not risk. It is simply mispricing. Across energy, infrastructure, transport, digital systems, ports, rails, and natural capital, Africa holds today sovereign assets of extraordinary scale. But scale, Your Excellencies, is not enough. What Africa needs is structure, governance, and trust. Because Africa does not lack assets, Africa lacks platforms that would allow it to unlock those assets at scale. And that is why I and Marjorie Krause, the chairman of APCO Worldwide, together co-founded the Global Africa Investment Summit, otherwise called GAIS, G-A-I-S, for which I am the executive chairman. I wish to immensely thank you, Mr. President, President Mahama, for being a champion for GAIS and for attending the launch of GAIS in Dubai earlier this year, despite your very hectic schedule. Thank you very much, Mr. President. GAIS is not an event. It is a global platform of trust for investors on our continent. It connects sovereign assets with global institutional capital, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, asset managers, not for isolated deals, but for structured, long-term capital development. It is disciplined. It is selective. It is investment grade. And let me be clear, this is not about aid. This is not about sentiment. This is not about charity. This is Africa being looked at from the investment side as the alpha in the world.
He extolled the future of the continent, one he hoped the rest of the world is ready for.
Africa is not waiting to be discovered. Africa is already participating in shaping the global future. The question is no longer whether Africa will ascend. The question is whether the world is ready for Africa that has already ascended. And today, as I think about that and the award that you've given me today, I do not stand here alone. I stand on the foundations of many lives, sacrifices, and acts of grace for whom I wish to say today, thank you. To my late parents, Roland and Eunice Adesina, who gave me values before opportunity. To my teachers and professors, who gave me knowledge before recognition. To my mentors, especially here, Kofi Annan from Ghana, who showed me that leadership is about service, not status. To the leaders of my own home country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my president for life, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, President Muhammadu Buhari, President Olusegun Obasanjo, and heads of states of our country, Generals Yakubu Gowon, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, General Ibrahim Babangida, and Vice Presidents Kashim Shettima, Atiku Abubakar, Namadi Sambo, and Yemi Osinbajo for the opportunity and support that you provided me to serve Nigeria, Africa, and the world. To my colleagues at the Ministry of Agriculture and our partners in Nigeria in the banking sector, together we transformed agriculture. We impacted the lives of over 15 million farmers, and we helped to feed a nation with pride. And the head of service of Nigeria is here. And I want to recognize two of the people in the civil service when I was minister. They are here today. My permanent secretary is Sonny Echono. If he's here, please rise up and please give it up to him. And the director of finance when I was minister, Idris Maman. That tells you the quality of people. We couldn't have succeeded without these people. So I always say, Echono is my permanent secretary for life, and Idris Mama is my director of finance for life. To the African Development Bank Group, and I have many of my staff and colleagues here today, and the governments of 81 shareholder countries who believed in us and in our mission, we increased the capital of the bank from $93 billion to $318 billion, and we transformed the lives of 565 million people all across Africa. To you, my friends, who believe in me, who support me and never leave my side, who make sure I never walk alone. And to my family, my children, Rotimi and Shegun, their wives, Alex and Emily, my 6 grandchildren, and above all, my dearest wife, Grace, my jewel, my strength, my anchor, and my partner for 42 years. Let me close, because when you are given an honor, you have to dedicate it. But as I said, I didn't get here alone. I'd like to dedicate this honor to my home country, Nigeria. Nigeria gave me my beginning. It gave me the opportunity when opportunity was not guaranteed. It gave me platforms when platforms were rare. It gave me responsibility when responsibility was heavy. In every season of my service, Nigeria was not behind me, it was within me. Because you do not outgrow the country that formed you. You only learn to serve it more deeply, more wisely, and more completely. So this honor returns home. Please, can I get that so I can show that actually I got an honor here and I want to give it back? So actually you get back. So Nigeria, this is yours as much as it is mine. This is not as a repayment, because what was given can never be fully repaid, but as gratitude expressed through service and multiplied through impact. And I carry this not as a crown, but as a reminder that service is the highest form of loyalty and contribution, the purest form of patriotism. To Africa, to the young boy and girl in a village with no certainty, fulfill dreams, to the mother who builds hope from hardship, to the young entrepreneur who sees opportunity where others see limitation. This moment also belongs to you. I will live as an African. I will die as an African. And on the day of resurrection, I'll ask God for permission to resurrect as an African.
Ghana's President John Mahama, who presented Adesina with the award, spoke to Adesina's vision for Africa being self-sustaining and contributing to its prosperity.
Akin is the Afro-optimist in chief. His faith in Africa never wanes. And a lot of us plug into his energy because whenever he meets us, and for me as a leader of Africa, he's always brimming with ideas. And before he left the African Development Bank, we had been thinking about what the next level for him would be. I had no fears about it because this guy, he'll always find his way. And so when we met at the forum in the Middle East before the bombs started flying, at the Global African Investment Summit, I recognized the path he was going to take. And I want to assure you, Akin, we are all supporting you. We're all supporting you. We need to make a paradigm shift in how we have considered investments, how we've considered our natural resources, and everything in Africa. The world is changing. The global order is changing. And we must adapt to the changes. After the Second World War, we all agreed that we had a multilateral system. And, I mean, each was his brother's keeper. After the arms race came to an end, we said there was going to be a dividend, a nuclear dividend, which would make sure that everybody on this earth enjoys a decent standard of living. I mean, clearly, things are shifting from what we all anticipated. Humanitarian assistance is dwindling. Countries are reducing their ODA and using it more for defense purposes and all that. Africa cannot sit with cup in hand and go begging. One of the major assets we have is what nature gave to us. We didn't put the gold in the ground. We didn't put the lithium in the ground. We didn't put the oil and gas in the ground. God gave it to us. And so, like I've said in many places, those days of huge concessions gifted to foreign companies and set up huge, rich enclaves next to African poverty where there's no clean drinking water, those days are coming to an end. We must take advantage of what God has gifted us to make sure that we're able to create prosperity for our people, and we can do it. We started with the African Continental Free Trade Area. We do have teething problems, but I'm sure that it's a good sign. Already we can see that trade between our countries is increasing. And so we do have the capacity to be able to create prosperity for our people and dignity. And the Global African Investment Summit, which Akin and Co. are looking at, is one vehicle that we can utilize. But Akin, we all want to celebrate you. I mean, this is well earned. I remember when we nominated you for the African Development Bank. It was at a time when President Jonathan was president. And of course, Ghana and Nigeria are twins of the same mother, except when we fight over jollof and football. Otherwise, we are the same people. And like the MC said, a lot of the people in Ghana migrated from Nigeria. They find their roots from the Yoruba kingdoms and all that. And so the Ghana people and all, are migrated from Nigeria. And so Nigeria is of keen security interest to us. If Nigeria does well, Ghana does well. I mean, when you have cousins, 250 million of them, you want them to do well so that 1 million of them don't come drifting towards a small country like Ghana. So every day I wake up, I pray for Nigeria. I said, God, let Nigeria get their act together. And so I remember when President Jonathan, we all nominated Akin, then there was suddenly a change of government in Nigeria. And a new government came, and because Akin had been Minister of Agriculture in the previous government, we didn't know whether they were going to support him. And so I invited President Buhari to Peduasi Lodge. Everybody knows Peduasi Lodge. That's where the peace agreement for Biafra was signed. It's a historic place. And for the first time, they saw President Buhari smiled. I took him to the ledge. I showed him where Nkrumah's bedroom was. We stood on the balcony, we chatted. And then when I had got him in the best mood and he was smiling, I said, but President, you know, Adesina is our joint candidate, Ghana and Nigeria. And we agreed with President Jonathan. So I hope you're not going to make a change. And he assured me that Akin was their candidate. And I mean, everything else is history. He's moved that bank. He's done phenomenal in the African Development Bank. And we're all proud of you, Akin. We're proud of Grace, too. We're family, the woman who has stood by you in thick and thin, in health, in his sickness. And I'm happy to see Grace radiating such wellness and good health. May God grant you even more health, good health, and wellness. And I heard you say 42 years. Well, I'm behind you. We're about 34 this year. And like you said, we take a note from you, and we're inspired by you, myself and Lordina, and we'll continue to work at it. But let's work together. Let me congratulate all those who won awards. Don't think that it was just ceremony. It is responsibility. All those awards you took, put it on your table, and remember that it is meant to inspire you to do even greater, not only for your communities, your societies, your countries, but also the continent of Africa. We continue to fight and represent our countries. We want to show that, leadership can make a change, because I believe that if we get proper leadership in Africa and we work together, we have some of the best brains, we have wonderful people, we'll be able to make a change in the lives of our people. But let me thank Moses and his team for continuing in the face of challenges to continue to host these awards. And I can just say for myself that at the time Moses recognized me and gave me that award in 2024, I was not president of Ghana. I was the leader of the opposition, and I was running for government. It takes courage to decide that you're going to award the leader of an opposition party in an African country. Moses, thank you so much. So I got the award in 2024 when I was opposition leader, not when I was president. And so it makes me believe that your system for recognizing people is not based on any partisan consideration. So thank you very much. I hear you're going to Cape Town next year. And if it's possible, we probably will all come and join you. I'm sorry I came late. I had to attend to a few issues. I just arrived at the airport. I dashed home. I didn't want to come in my work clothes, so I had to dash and look a bit decent and come and join you. So thank you very much. God richly bless all of you.
Dr. Adesina's recognition comes on the heels of a career marked by transformative reforms. As Nigeria's former Minister of Agriculture, he spearheaded initiatives that reached over 15 million farmers and restructured the fertilizer sector to curb corruption. He oversaw a historic increase in the AFDB's capital from less than $100 billion to more than $300 billion, while driving projects that impacted over 500 million Africans, particularly in energy access, infrastructure, and food security. He has earned global acclaim, including the World Food Prize and recognition as African of the Decade in 2024.